And before you know it, we started a workshop at Bay State Penitentiary, which is closer. It's only about an hour round trip, and that's in Norfolk Walpole.
When was this? About how long ago?
Oh, that was about 4 years ago. So this past year, I helped with the director of treatment at the Framingham prison. It's called South Middlesex Women's Pre-Release Facility. We started the program there, and that's my baby. I love that place.
And so you're the head of this? You know, I mean, is there a hierarchy there? You're like the director?
No, I'm not a director. I'm not given a title.
Who works with you?
Helen Elaine Lee,
Mm-hmm.
and a number of other people, depending on which volunteers sign up for that particular prison.
And what are their backgrounds, the people who work for you?
Oh, everybody's writing. Some people have taught. Most of the writers do teach or else have taught. And
Is that a
Helen
requirement to be in?
Actually, it's not necessarily a requirement. And I really would love to put a plug in for the kinds of volunteers that we're looking for. They don't need to have been, certainly not published. They don't need to either have been both writing and teaching. It's good if they've been through the process and the strain of writing, because then they'll understand what the women have to go through. They also come with their own bag of exercises, but we have a ton of exercises we can give them.
Is this just women teachers, or you have men?
No, we have many male teachers going to North Middlesex, just as we have women teachers going to Bay State Penitentiary. And we're also looking for volunteers there, and that's in Norfolk Walpole.
And what would you get out of volunteering, other than the altruistic?
Whatever altruism is.
Yeah.
We haven't figured that out. The philosophers haven't figured that out yet. What you get out of it is a look at yourself, the look at your own interior, through the words and the struggles of other people. The women tend to write very autobiographically and memoir-y, and we don't try to change that. And there's so many aspects of their own memoir writing, whether it's about food, early growing up, that connect to us. I mean, it's part of the human condition. It's good stuff and it's some hellish stuff. And you don't have to have been in prison to have gone through hellish stuff. And people in prison have also had good memories.
Right. I think we all, to some extent, live in a prison, you know, in terms of, you know, going to work every day or being caught in a routine or something. I remember as a kid driving through the Midtown Tunnel. I wrote a book on this, The Man in the Booth in the Midtown Tunnel.
Oh.
Remember the guys in the booth in the Midtown Tunnel?
Yes, I do.
And they were stuck in that little booth and all the fumes coming up, and that was their job. And I used him as a sort of a focal point for the poems in the collection, because he was imprisoned in this little booth. And so when you're talking about the commonality of everything, we're all connected in some way, and you know, we all have an evil and dark side to us. And hey, get frustrated one day, you slam someone, he falls down by accident, and you're in prison. You know, I mean, you know, could happen to any of us.
It's true. It's the other side of a door, and it's amazing how women have extricated themselves, and the men have too. As I said, by the way, this women's prison, the particular women's prison I'm talking about in Framingham, is a pre-release. So all of these women are in the writing workshop, in this particular writing workshop, not because, at the same time as they know that they're going to be leaving within the next year and a half to 2 years perhaps, maybe even 3.
Okay.
But they know they're getting out.
Now, what kind of things are the inmates in for?
With the women, you know, there is nothing explicit that we've shared. We can only guess, but the suspicion among most of us is that it's drugs or alcohol. It's one or another or both. And, you know, making wrong choices, of course, that goes.
All right, so here you are, white, upper middle class woman. walking through the prison door for the
Well,
first
I'm
time?
not an upper middle class.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you were a psychologist.
I was a
not
school psychologist.
All right, so,
It's
you
a
know,
little
well, all
different.
right, middle class. Well,
Little
it depends what
different.
for me, I'm impoverished, so I'm
I'm
upper middle class.
I'm
middle. For
Nice
me,
to
for me.
meet you.
So, all right, so I'm sorry for that presumption then.
Yeah,
Okay.
not
But
at
anyway,
all.
white middle class.
It's my silk
White middle
jacket.
class, you went to McDowell and all that stuff. Now you're going into a prison. The door's closed behind you. What are your first feelings? You nervous?
Well, don't forget that I went to the county jail in Northampton first.
All right, so.
And then I was very used to going to Bay State Penitentiary with men, which is moderate security prison, meaning
All
that
right,
we
well, how
had to
about your
take.
first experience prison period in the Northampton?
Yeah, it was a little, that had some, I think, minimal to moderate security, and I actually don't remember too well. I remember more clearly my first time at the men's prison in Walpole. And I felt as though I was getting on an airplane. I mean, basically, I had to put my things almost on a rolling black belt.
Were you fearful for your own safety?
Not at
Yeah,
all.
Why-
Not at
why-
all.
yeah. They screen, I imagine, people come into the class, do they? I mean, in terms of their interest and if they're appropriate.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have the records on all of us.
Not
They've
you,
done
I'm talking
background
about
checks.
I'm talking about the prisoners. The prisoners who are
The
in the.
prisoners are not supposed to know our last names. We're not supposed
No,
to
but
know.
the prisoners themselves who are in there obviously gonna have an interest and they're appropriate for the class is what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's an interesting
I mean,
question.
they just don't pick them for the hell of it. They say you want to be in a
I
rank.
don't think, I think each prison is working differently, and it
Yeah.
depends on the number of prisoners who have signed up to be in the workshop. If there were such a plethora of sign-ups, then the authorities there would have to screen out the people.
Mhm.
But we were always eager to have as many people as we could take.
Mhm.
And we had a ton of volunteers a couple of years ago.
Okay,
People's lives change.
okay.
So at North Middlesex, which I'm focusing on mostly, and I hope that we get a chance for me to read some
And
things.
20 after we start.
That's
10
great.
minutes, yeah.
That's great. I look forward to it. So at North Middlesex, the women just came as they wished. Very minimal security there. We just wore a badge and we gave up our driver's licenses for the 2 hours that we teach. It's every other Saturday from November through June. And whichever women would show up. Sometimes we had 16 or 18 people, and we were prepared to split into 2 different rooms.
And they were cooperative and all that stuff.
Oh, easy. Oh, the women are eager.
Well, I know, I ran
Yeah.
poetry groups in the mental hospital for a long time.
I
And
see.
see, the thing is, the people who, it's a relief, from the regular didactic groups, anger management and all this, and from the life of the ward,
Yes.
which I imagine
It
is
is
a
a
great
relief to
for
them, too.
Yeah. Is it therapeutic for them? Do you find that writing is therapeutic for them?
Well, 1 or 2 have told us that we don't intend the workshops to be therapeutic.
So you don't go.
But
with
if
it,
they
yeah,
are,
if
they are.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is writing therapeutic to you?
Sure. It can be.
It can be. Sometimes
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like
Well, yeah,
punishment,
sometimes it is. Yeah.
incarceration.
But it gets you out of yourself for a while. I mean, in terms of if you're writing well and you get into that sort of runner's
It
high of
can.
writing.
It
yeah.
can.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're-
creative
yeah.
expression is therapeutic in itself, I think. Gives you your humanity.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to let you read work
Okay.
for just till another 11 minutes I'm going to give you.
Okay.
And we'll let the tapes roll. Turn off the tape, this tape,
Okay.
and the others.
Well, I'd like to read a piece from a short piece by Renita.
Okay, whatever you want
It's
to.
called Soda Pop. I know that the woman who sat with me on the wooden stairs that hot summer night over 40 years ago was not a tall woman, but to a 6-year-old, she was a giant. We sat side by side watching the sun go down behind an old gas station across the busy street, a street I was never allowed crossing unless accompanied by an adult or else an older sibling. An unlikely pair, we sat together perched on the top step. Her legs reached down 2 stairs, mine dangling, barely reaching the first. Nana smoked on this cherry-scented pipe. It kept the hungry mosquitoes at bay that danced around our heads. And now and again she blew a smoke ring and laughed as I would try to change the hole with my finger. I sat in a cool summer nightie, and Nana in her sleeveless sundress. We sat together watching the traffic, trying to catch the elusive breeze. We counted cars and tried to guess the color of the next one to turn the corner. I was luckier at this game than Nana. Once again, I was caught in the middle of circumstance, the fourth born of 7 children. It wasn't uncommon that I was either too young or too old for something. This night, I was both. While my 2 baby sisters slept inside the house, my 3 older siblings played with friends around the corner, a place I wasn't allowed to go. So what happens in this story is that this little girl is invited by her grandmother, Nana, to cross the street. And as you will see,
These are all
woman-
unedited, by the way.
These are unedited,
correct
just
for
spelling
grammar?
corrections,
So,
yeah.
okay,
It's
yeah.
a little grammar, that's sometimes not even the grammar. So the grandmother, Nana, stretched her long fingers into her dress pocket. And she said, "How would you like to run over to the gas station there and get yourself a bottle?"